CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 58 of The Greatest Attorney 2. Last time, we started the next investigative portion of this case, in which we talked to Iris. We got some information that basically, that daily vigil, he was taken to a hospital. We went to the hospital, basically, he wasn't there. We also talked to Strongheart, and he was upset that the trial didn't end, and we're now going to move on to, basically, we're going to talk to Kazuma. So, let's head over to the prosecutor's office. Yes, he's taken Van Zieks' office. The 2nd of November, prosecutor's office. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Sogi now, is it? And meanwhile, in his prison, I can just imagine Van Zieks learning about this. Ryunosuke goes back to the prison and tells Van Zieks that now Kazuma is using his office, has full control of it. And meanwhile, Van Zieks, no, not my office, no, he has tainted it, my realm, soiled. We have to burn it down. And then after the trial, Van Zieks, he just coats the entire place in gasoline and then just lights it ablaze because it has been tainted. Only fire may cleanse it. The painting of Clint just burning up with the rest of the office. I'm sorry, Clint, but it's the only way to save the office, to purify this space so that we may rebuild. And then meanwhile, Kazuma, and then basically we see Kazuma, he's just drinking straight from one of Van Zieks' hollowed bottles. Because just this child just really got to basically he couldn't stand just one day of being in Van Zieks' shoes. And then meanwhile, Kazuma, he's just thinking to himself, he's basically wondering if he should go out for revenge against Van Zieks, because if this is what one day with Ryunosuke is like, just what was he dealing with all the rest of the time Ryunosuke was here? Just Van Zieks' life was a living hell already, because anything else Kazuma would do would just be completely moot.
Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself.
Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style in that dark corner.
It's his habit to sit Caesar style whenever he's working. Plus he likes the dark. He thinks he's Batman.
Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out.
Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first.
Okay, let's check out the place though. What does Suzanne have to say about the hollow chalices? Let's see. What have we here?
Mr. Naruto, it would be very underhanded to glean information from Kazuma-sama's office while he's absent.
Oh yes, because Kazuma is very invested in the hollow chalices.
We should wait until he's here before we start nosing around.
Oh, of course, yes. She doesn't take any nonsense when it comes to Kazuma, does she? Yeah, she does. Yeah, basically, she doesn't deal well with people messing with her Oni-chan. Yeah, now I'm imagining Susanoo,
Oni-chan!
when it comes to Kazuma. Okay, let's go see Van Zieks freak out at the fact that Kazuma has essentially hijacked his office. Local prison, cell 1.
Lord Van Zieks is reading, look!
Where'd you come from, Iris?
He doesn't look like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. What do you Nipponese want? That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? It's how I greet you, take it or leave it. Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruto?
Lord Van Zieks, speaking earnestly.
Frankly, I would love the compromise, basically. Just Van Zieks saying Mr. Nipponese. Just something like that, basically. He still can't get out of it. He has to transition out of it.
The fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, it's impressive when your abilities are working in my favor for once. Though otherwise, I frankly want to bash my head through a wall. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. This must be what hell is like. I suppose. It's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part? Okay, do we have anything new to present? Okay, let's see what you have to say about Gregson. Okay, what's that? It's something that I was hoping to ask your opinion about, that's all. It's a serious crime for the defense to attempt to extract information from the prosecution by illegal means. I think we have more of a defense and client relationship now, don't we? That and I just don't like you. I have to say about the revolver. Okay, nothing apparently. You have nothing to say about revolvers. You do not care to talk about the gun. The red hairpiece. Come on, we'll give it to you, Van Zieks. You can put it on, you can pose. Converse time. The Reaper's identity. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crimes that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchmen of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization.
Ah! It was a whole organization?
It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved.
Someone at... You can't mean...
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson.
Not Gregsy! No!
Gregson, the Reaper? Yeah, Gregson goes after Iris with a scythe. No. Iris employs Gregson to take out her enemies. You know how in the video game Hitman, basically, you have to kill all these people with basically unique means? Iris has basically Gregson doing that sort of thing, but with all of her competitors. Anyone writing any other detective novels, they just disappear. And Iris makes Gregson dress up as an actual Grim Reaper. So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Baily is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. Okay, there we go. Okay, just got hawked up a massive loogie. I swear, I hate when that happens. Just got my shirt all over my shirt. I hate that.
I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregsy? He was about all those awful criminals meeting there?
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Ow!
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot the assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector.
Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then? Actually, I do have a name. You what?
Well, if you can name the man, you have the Trinity of the Reaper already then.
Or if I can name the woman.
Oh?
Her name is Iris Wilson.
You had to reveal the secret, Barry. And now you die.
And then Iris takes out a gun and just blasts Van Zieks with a bullet. Just one shot, boom, and Barok is dead. She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shinn. The puns are strong. What? Shinn? Miss Asa Shinn, the true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. Ye olde Dahlia Hawthorne. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Baily. Menimemoism saved the day!
Mr. Naruto, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss.
No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know and is very likely that the man was her father. Asa Shinn,
I shall let father know at once.
Yes, I agree. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. In that case, my disdain for him grows even more. What? So is it that I have family determined to make my life hell? First, his father kills my brother, and then he sends you here to make my life a living hell with your summation examinations. Every time I would get drawn close to one, you would swoop in with your summation examinations. All the while he was laughing at me behind my back, and then he poses as my assistant, just to troll with me even more. I know that he struck up my bottles of wine. I know that they were frothier than normal. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father. Well, before he received that one pay cut by Clint that drove him insane. Genshin Asogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How'd that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic throughout the capital. So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep. You're coming with us.
We were surrounded by street toughs. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I had been targeted several times before already.
Yeah, it's Van Zieks, all right. We got him.
I couldn't hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. Well, just as I thought my time had come.
If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me.
It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled streets. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me before proceeding to brutally massacre all of the street tops. 2 days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor.
How awful for you.
All at once, I lost the brother I revered, and the foreign friend I held in such high regard, because I knew at that moment the only reason Genshin saved my life was because he was claiming me as his next hit. He was saying, "Oh yes, Barok Van Zieks, you will be my next victim, and I will absorb your powers. Your leg slam will be mine. And then I will also be able to grow a mullet."
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks.
That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone.
Well, thank you for confiding in me.
The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are.
I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Jaziel Brett.
Mr. Naruto, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to be your daddy, Susie. Hooray! I can extort him too.
Yes, all right. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Move out. Okay. Waterloo Hotel. Second of November, Great Waterloo Hotel, foyer.
I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely.
It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'd think the same tomorrow too.
My tea is a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though, would you say?
Iris is gonna send. Yeah, too bad Gregson isn't alive. So otherwise, Iris, she would have him basically burn this place to the ground. This hotel would be the next victim of the Reaper. Iris would take control of the entire operation. Iris would basically just usurp leadership of the entire organization and have Gregson do her bidding. Ugh, I swear, my mucus is on the fritz today. Oh, look who I don't know who's talking. Oh yes, it's Yuji. I didn't know if it was Yuji or someone else.
Ah, Father. Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely.
And I love just the look of disturbance. I love how Eugene looks like he just sensed the disturbance. Like, oh god, she's probably gonna kick my ass. Why do I hear boss music? What a charming young lady! And you are?
I'm your worst nightmare!
So, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, are you?
That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie has been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know.
Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly with much interest.
Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father.
Is that so? Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eye. That bright look of insanity and megalomania. I'm scared right now. You wouldn't you wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Yes, Iris is a force to be reckoned with. She's like a hurricane or a tornado. You just don't cross her path. Now then, young Naruto. It was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery. After I twisted some arms, and after Shishiro, he basically threw some guys into a wall. We fought our way in. I was flying back up while Shishiro was just snapping necks and taking no names. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there.
Oh, no, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me.
Really?
You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite exemplary.
It's very kind of you to say so, and really nice to hear.
What I saw in court today confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruto. I trust you haven't forgotten.
Oh no, you did mention something, didn't you?
But first, we have something to report, Father.
Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further?
I wonder where Judge Jigoku has gotta be. Examine! You know my ways! Okay, nothing. Okay, everything has been examined. Well, that saves me some time. Conversing time. Okay, apparently the game wants me to do this one first. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you?
Guilty! Ha 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 ha!
But that guilty is still ringing in my ears.
No, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore at the Great Exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Shigoku having once been in the dock himself.
Ah, yes, it was all tied up with that cursed trial. He went full on Rambo. No one was safe from his righteous fury. I think he may have killed a guy with his gavel, or at the very least caused some severe brain hemorrhaging.
The closed trial of Kazuma's father.
Shishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilty, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand.
Oh my!
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged.
Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that.
Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
Thank goodness!
Ah yes, talking about Shishiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday, please.
Yes, Ryunosuke looking outright terrified. Possibly because he knows that two of the people there could basically kick his ass in a matter of seconds, and knowing that basically Yujin could easily could also probably stand a good chance against him. I'm pretty sure that Yujin could also do some pretty serious damage. I mean, sure, Yujin's probably not flipping people, but he has poison on his side. He could poison Ryunosuke. He could easily pull a Christoph Gavin and make Ryunosuke lick a poison stamp.
Oh, what a lovely picture!
It certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain." The commemorative photograph has been added.
None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No, that's so true.
Okay, about the Reaper.
Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Baily?
I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Or of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge.
Right, he didn't appear until after the case when the visiting students had already returned home.
Lord Van Zieks, who was in the dock today, that was Barok, the younger brother Clint Van Zieks, I believe.
That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard, but the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else.
I see.
So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here.
Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shinn, in fact.
I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shinn? You mean that Jezeel Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend?
No, a friend of yours was killed.
Professor Mikatoba, I think perhaps we should discuss this right now.
Because the friend the professor's talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. The most prevalent first case murder victim in the series, apparently. Because seriously, this guy just keeps coming up. Normally, when it comes to first case murder victims, they just tend to go off the radar, basically. Sometimes they're referenced vaguely, but overall, just after their murder's done, boom, they're just no longer present. The only one who can really compete with that would be arguably Zachariah, considering basically his murder was very much the focal point of Apollo Justice. But other than that, just a lot of first case murders basically just don't have as much reach. I mean, this murder is actually carrying through for 2 games. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this anyways. Yeah, little does Ryunosuke know that Iris is probably all aware of it. Iris was the one who orchestrated it.
I just remembered something. Biscuits! This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes! You just try and leave me behind.
So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she?
Yes, that's right.
And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see.
Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial University 4 years ago.
But he was murdered last year by Jezeel Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about the case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father.
Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But frankly, have you ever saw him? You saw him, Ryunosuke. Does he look like the kind of guy who got around? But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner.
So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think?
Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure.
That's what we thought, yes.
We're back with cinnamon biscuits.
Oh, they smell delicious, Iris.
I think cinnamon will go very with the tea they serve here. Don't you, Susie, the inferior tea? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
The favor. With a U. So you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask of me.
Well, this painful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan.
You want me to do...
What? Father, where is the meaning of this?
Now, Susanoo, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. It's not like we can get Kazuma back. I mean, look at him. He's dressed in the cravats and the white suit. Next thing you know, he's going to start doing dance moves, and now he's going to start updating autopsy reports. We can't have that. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact.
But I not even been in London a year yet.
I read all of Suza's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruto, are precisely the men our country needs.
So, you both should be leaving then, Runo? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father?
I don't want to pay for a second steamboat ticket, so when you want to be in a shipping crate, I'll include an air hole. You can here serving as Sogi's judicial assistant.
Oh yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant.
Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation, though.
Sorry.
You've always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also.
Father!
Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm to be honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is you consider it, and come to a decision by the time the trial concludes.
Yes, all right.
You won't leave, will you, Runo?
Yeah, knowing how Iris is, she would kill Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke, he tries to leave for Japan. He finds himself hit in the head with a crowbar with the office shovel, and then he wakes up and he's chained to a bedpost. Iris, what have you done?
I'm sorry, Runo. I can't let you leave. I can't be alone with Hurley.
Ah, Mr. Naruto, I'm glad to see that you decided to stay. And then just minutes ago, help me, Sherlock! Get me out of here! Oh, no. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruto. But if I were to do that, Iris would be most upset. And then she would tie me to the bedpost. Now, if you excuse me, I have to hobble your legs. What? I'm sorry. Iris is busy writing her next novel, and she wants me to hobble you so you can't run away. The thought hasn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me?
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Shinn.
Of course, Father. Thank you.
I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson.
Oh, Jordan, please do come to Baker Street on time, won't you?
And then Iris,
Would you please lick this stamp? Mr. Mikitoba, would you mind licking this stamp?
Why, certainly!
and boom, just Eugen's dead on the ground. Iris kills him with artequinine. The method of basically Sherlock. Sherlock taught Iris about the artequinine, and then Sherlock passed that knowledge down to his child, and then that child passed it on down to their child, and then that child passed it on down to basically their child, and then that child passed it down on to Kristoff.
We'd love to entertain you. You'll never want to leave.
I would be delighted. You step into the lion's den, Eugen. Step into the lion's den. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruto. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you?
Yes, I will. Going back home.
You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this.
Yes, no doubt. Asa Shinn. Of course. It's so obvious. Of course it's so obvious! How could I neglect it to consider the possibility before now? Mr. Sholmes.
Hurley, where have you been?
Why, I joined you over tea, of course. What an extraordinary question.
I didn't notice you at all.
No matter. Anyways, to more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruto. Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. Japan, you mean? That's right. I am going to pester Hosonaga. And then basically, Sherlock prank telegrams Hosonaga. Is your gas lamp running?
What is this? What is this? Yes, my gas lamp is running.
Then you'd better go catch it.
Damn it, who is this? Who is sending me these telegrams? I swear I will strike you all down. I will travel to England and I will find you firsthand. And I will show you why I am the best investigator, because there will be nothing left of you to find.
To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the desk? Quickly now, who?
Well, my father's just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself.
I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow.
I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes.
There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to have this sent.
I will, but what is it?
No questions at this time, if you please, Mr. Sato. All we can do is pray. Not for once. My deduction is awry. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly soap. Now then, you may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to behind settings and eavesdrop on other people's conversations.
So that's what joining us for tea meant.
I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows.
Aha! Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes.
He just ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea line, too. That's how Sherlock's gonna save money on the rent.
I must catch up with father at the telegram office at once. And I'm running cold as a cab straight away.
Or Iris will just jack a cab. It'll be like Grand Theft Auto. No, that should be the next game. You know how Ace Attorney Investigations was the spin-off to the Ace Attorney series? Have basically some Ace Attorney Grand Theft Auto as a spin-off to this game, to the great Ace Attorney games, and have it where you play as Iris, where you choose between playing as either Iris or Sherlock, and you're more or less just going on a Grand Theft Auto style rampage. I could easily imagine Iris carjacking someone or just jacking a carriage. Iris just grabs the guy and just yanks him out and then just takes his vehicle. And there it was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Okay, anyways, I think now would be a good time to end things off. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and I hope you come back for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. I'll see you next time. Bye.